All right, guys. Looks like we're up and rolling. Got a little bit to a late start this morning. Well, I'd say this afternoon. I'm not for sure if we're going to be joined today with the presence of Dr. William, Dr. Bill, but I will send a link here real quick. And I got a message from them, him and Kristen, yesterday. They might not make it to the show today. Participants invite. So what I was thinking about doing, I'm just going to go ahead and multitask. I'm sending this invite. And they might come on. They might not. So I was thinking today we could watch some videos and begin to build an understanding about the endocannabinoid system. And let's see here. And I'm trying to get an email out to them just in case that they would like to join us. We also have scheduled a guest, Ralph LeBlanc, to come on. Might have to give him a call and let him know that the doctor's not going to be available. But right now I'm working on sending out this first email. Yeah, I kind of got a little bit of a late start today. There really shouldn't be any excuses for that, but it is what it is. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up. I'm trying to get this email out, and it's like my computer's a little slow too, so it seems like I've got a couple of extra challenges going on. And I think that I'm really excited about beginning the COVID Busters electrostatic spraying, because we're going to bring in some funds for the company, Solomon's Treasure. And one of the things that we will be investing in is our podcast. I would like to have a dedicated room. I would like to have some dedicated equipment, and yeah, I'm having a lot of challenge right now with my Gmail account. Okay, here we go. Now I'm where I need to be. So it'll be nice to have a studio. It'll be nice to have regular microphones. It'll be nice to have a better computer. Because this computer is very slow today. very, very slow today. It shows I'm streaming, which is good. And I wasn't able to see if I can change this title. I don't think that it allows me to change it after it's already begun. Let's see what happens here. Nope. It says I've got 2 concurrent viewers. I'm thinking that that's typically just me, because every time I come on, it's showing that I've got 2 concurrent viewers. And my email is just terribly slow. So these are the challenges. These are the beginning steps. I was speaking with my stepbrother yesterday about how children, when they are born, they don't know how to hardly do anything, but they have to learn over time. And before a child can even learn how to walk or even run, they have to learn how to crawl. And before they can learn how to crawl, they have to learn how to roll over. Just being able to roll over is a challenge for a newborn baby. And they learn how to. The first thing that you learn how to do is you learn how to roll over, and then you can learn how to get up on your front arms, lift yourself up a little bit on your knees and hands and knees, and then eventually you're able to crawl. So right now this may seem a little challenging to watch for any of y'all watching, but keep in mind that when a baby begins its life, it's not capable of running. It's almost like these are some really fun challenges here. Here we go. Now I'm able. All right. So we're just learning how to roll with the punches. This is episode number 3 of the show. And I've got the link sent out. Well, almost sent out. And we're going to talk about the endocannabinoid system today on the show. We'll watch some videos on YouTube, maybe do some reading. Wow, I've got that email out. That only took 9 minutes. It would have been much better if it was 9 seconds. But anyway, it's good. We're good. We're set up. We are ready to roll. And we're figuring this stuff out, man. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. Let's pull up. Let's go to our screen share. And we're going to share the screen. So we are going to search endocannabinoid system. There we go, for dummies. There we go. going to put on a video, and then I'm going to come back. Let's see if we got any videos. Three-minute videos. 2-minute videos. November, 4-minute video. Let's watch this 4-minute video here. Yeah, I'm gonna love having a studio. Winter's coming, it's kind of cold out here on this back porch. And there's a lot of time that goes into setting this up. Bringing the computer out here, getting everything arranged online, and plus I'm a full-time husband and a father, and so there's lots of things I'm busy with. So it'll be nice having a dedicated room where I can do all my broadcasting from. What happened here? Do we have something freeze up here, guys? Oh. Wow. Yeah, definitely want to get a faster computer. We're going to get like a Lamborghini computer. Mhm. Um, all right. We are going to look at another video. This is Cannabis Library TV. Let's see here. What's an hour? Hour is a long time. Hey, Ralph, my internet is working rather slow right now, and I'm not for sure if I'm having a computer issue, internet issue, or maybe a combination of both. Plus, the doctor, he had to cancel being on today, so let's push back your visit on the show to next week. Would you be available next week? All right. So, watching some videos is not easy. Coffee impacts cannabis. Here we go. This looks like a pretty good show. Let's see what this one does. Close out some of these. One. Yeah, I can close this and it won't end. Shows we're still recording. So let's see. Some more breakdown as far as this is in German subtitles. Cool. I'll watch a video with some German subtitles. All right, so yes, there's still much to be discovered. We could continue allowing YouTube to play videos, but let's go back and search around for a little bit more information. I know these are just YouTube videos. These aren't the scientific studies behind them, but here's what we can do. Let's go here. CannabisInternational.org. International. So this is the website, Dr. William Courtney's. Official site of Kristen and William Courtney. Here you'll find interviews. Here he has audio, video, interviews. Raw cannabis, a dietary essential. This was posted April 9th, 2012. I'm going to let that go ahead and kind of preload or buffer. Great content 2 years ago. Harsh audio levels. 2 responses. Paul J. Von Hartman. He's got 90 subscribers. He posted this video. It's close to 1 minute of buffering. Let's go ahead and watch it. Yeah, that's definitely harsh on audio levels. Oh gosh. Yeah, no joke. I haven't seen this video yet. So there's some more fun videos. And let's go back to Cannabis International. Video journal of juicing cannabis. All right. Five-minute video. Gonna let it buffer out a little bit. And here is some of what you can find online, readily available for people to educate themselves with. This is just somebody else's video. He gives the introduction at the beginning. Juiced Cannabis channel. So one of the things that was mentioned on that video that I think is important to note was Dr. William Courtney talking about the U.S. patent. Why don't we just do a search? USA patent cannabinoids. So 6630507B1. So that's 6,630,507 B1. Let's take a look here and see if he mentions the patent. What's it say there? Legal resources, documents. There's a number of patents. Oh, we got some wind today. Here is the 6630507 PDF file that can be downloaded. And this is what it looks like. A web page is slowing down your browser. What would you like to do? I'd like to get a better computer. That's what I would like. Cannabinoids have been found to have antioxidant properties unrelated to NMDA receptor antagonism. Now, I'm not going to pretend to act like I know what that means. I understand antioxidant properties. And I'm a father, and I'm a husband, I'm a man, and I want what's best for me, and I want what's best for my kids. So I want to know what this stuff means. Okay, so here's what they claim. I'm not a patent attorney, but I have done some study on patents. And it basically, when it comes down to it, what is written in the claims are what are the more valuable parts of a patent. Because the claims are the claim for intellectual property. So they're saying that, here's some of the claims, a method of treating diseases caused by oxidative stress, comprising administering a therapeutically effective amount of a cannabinoid that has substantially no binding to the NMDA receptor to a subject who has a disease caused by oxidative stress. So that's one claim. So they're saying, let's see who owns this patent anyway. So you got these people. This person, and this person. And the current assignee is the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. So our Department of Health and Human Services is saying that they have a claim. You understand? They have a claim as far as so that's 15. Yeah, so yeah, this is right. So a method of treating diseases. They're saying that they own this method, that there was an invention, they invented it. I didn't want to search that. Here we go. Where's the description at? That disappeared. Let's refresh. Boy, we got lots of fun little kinks that in the future we're not going to have going on in the show. I got cold, brisk wind blowing. I'm adventuring on the back porch, exploring the world of cannabinoids and why cannabinoids need to be in our diet. I'm braving the elements. It's actually kind of cold. It's wind in the shade. All right. So, what's the invention? They're like, we invented something. It is an object of this invention to provide a new class of antioxidant drugs that have particular application as neuroprotectants, although they are generally useful in the treatment. Let's see. It has surprisingly been found that cannabidiol and other cannabinoids function as neuroprotectants, even though they lack antagonist activity. Yeah, basically what I think what this means is that if anybody tried to market cannabis as a treatment, then the assignee of the patent could say, hey, you're infringing my rights. I own the rights to that. Which it's interesting because the assignee is the U.S. Health and Human. But let's see, where is it at the top? Let's go back to the top. The assignee is the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. That's kind of seems a little hypocritical, especially when the FDA has cannabis classified as having no medical value, accepted medical value. It's a heck of a hypocritical situation that we've got here. So this has been expired. Oh yeah, so we're good to go. It expired. Anticipated expiration, which is good because the patents only go 20 years. And but what's great about this is 1998. Wow. That's 20 years. People in the United States government knew that cannabinoids were able to treat diseases. So we've got 20 years now. That's just mind-blowing. You when you dig into this stuff, it's kind of like, man, dude, what are we doing as humans? What are we doing to each other? What? And I understand there's a need in the marketplace to be paid for your goods and services, but cannabinoids as antioxidants and neuroprotectants. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services is the assignee. They were assigned to this. The application was filed by the U.S. Department of Health and Human. 1999, they knew that cannabinoids were good for protecting your brain, not for damaging it. Neuroprotectant, your neurons in your brain. It's going to protect your neurons. 20 years. It's going to protect your neurons. It's gonna, your antioxidant, your oxidative stress, your oxidative breakdown. Your body is just naturally deteriorating over time. Cannabinoids are antioxidants and neuroprotectants. And our very U.S. government who says that, oh, let's look it up. Let's look up the classification here. Let's look it up here. This is Cannabis Library TV. And I'm from the Show Me State, so I'm gonna show you. Cannabis. Let's see what do we want to search for? Cannabis, drug, FDA. Let's see here. Let's search that. Regulation of cannabis. Well, they're just now approving the first drug 20 years after the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services is trying to corner the market for cannabinoids. It's just a plant. It's a freaking plant that you put in your body. You eat it. You eat the plant. It's food. And we in the United States have been doing this to ourselves. So they're approving drug products. Let's see. Classification. Let's see. For some of y'all who already know about cannabis, this isn't new information, but for those of you who don't know, FDA regulation, no, this hasn't loaded yet. But for those of you who are maybe new to this and are watching it sometime later down the road in the future, the hypocrisy that we were living in, that I grew up in, that all of us are living through, is just crazy. FDA and cannabis research and drug approval process. I know where it shows, it talks about how cannabis is on the classified, it's classified as like a Schedule 1. There we go, that's what it is, Schedule 1. Schedule 1 substance. There we go, the DEA. Yeah, not the FDA. Sorry about that, guys. It's the other organization, the Drug Enforcement. Gotta get these drugs off the streets. Drugs. Drug substances and certain chemicals used to make drugs are classified into 5 distinct categories or schedules, depending on the drug's acceptable medical use and the drug's abuse or dependency potential. Schedule 1. Schedule 1 drugs, substances or chemicals, are defined as drugs with no currently accepted medical use. Some of those include cannabis. Wait a minute. There's no currently accepted medical use, but yet 20 years ago, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services is trying to say that they're going to patent cannabinoids as antioxidants and neuroprotectants. That's the hypocrisy that we're living in here, folks. We're doing this to ourselves, and it's really sad. When I say we, I'm saying humanity. It's really sad that we would rather turn turn a profit, make a buck off of somebody else's sickness, and at the same time make it very challenging for people to be able to eat healthy. Marijuana, cannabis is, they say that it doesn't have any current medical accepted use. Let's come on down here. Oh, and they also talk about LSD and ecstasy and peyote. I wonder, heroin, yeah, I'd say heroin probably has some accepted medical use. I think they just throw this in there, and it's like, are people not doing their homework, or do they not really care? I mean, I'm sure that there's been medical use for heroin. There's no accepted medical use where they may say, oh, well, that's maybe within our current system or something. I don't know. Half of the stuff is just silly and goofy, in my opinion, anymore. Schedule 2. Schedule 2 is just like drugs with high potential use, but yet they may have some type of medical use. So you're saying that LSD doesn't have a medical use? Well, that's not even close to being true, because Albert Hofmann, the guy who invented or discovered LSD, created it, synthesized it in the lab. You know, that was in the late 40s or early 50s or whatnot, right? And in the 50s, there was all kinds of psychiatric and psychology tests that were going on with LSD. And there were some very amazing breakthroughs that were happening. And so to say that there's no accepted medical use on these, this, in my opinion, it just looks like, I don't know what, I don't want to speak for this one. I don't even know what that is. What is it, Quaaludes or something? Quaalone. So that means that they'd be like Quaaludes? I don't know. But peyote is a cactus. Native Americans use that for entheogens, spiritual rituals, connecting with God. The LSD is also, could be considered an entheogen, but it was a recently created. Cannabis is definitely medical. I mean, are you kidding me? Like, just the craziness behind the audacity to say that there's no current, like, accepted by who? Accepted by you? By you? DEA? Good for you. Good for you. You don't accept it. Yeah, well, I'm sure that there's people who are in the DEA that are learning and waking up now. And hopefully, if you're watching this video, you could just come on over here and look at the frickin' patent. I mean, here you go. Cannabinoids as antioxidants and neuroprotectants. The United States Department of Health and Human Services 20 years ago is saying, hey, there's accepted medical use. We're going to patent it. So this right here, in my opinion, is just no accepted medical. That's just a joke. That doesn't even. It's either a complete line of bullshit, or they're grossly negligent and ignorant in the DEA. The DEA, the people who are in charge of classifying these things, are either grossly ignorant and negligent, or they're just completely full of shit. It's got to be one of the two. And I ain't the only one who's saying it, but I'll say it. I ain't worried about it. Schedule 3 drug substances, chemicals are defined as drugs with moderate to low potential for physical and psychological dependence. Okay, so now we're talking some roids, testosterone, ketamine. Schedule 4, soma, Ambien, tramadol, Xanax. Low potential for abuse and low risk of dependence. Schedule 5. Robitussin. Yeah, I'll tell you what. This whole thing right here, in my opinion, it's just a joke. I'm not impressed at all. Not impressed with it. So they've got it. They say that there's no. All right, let's go. No accepted medical use. Here we go. Here you go. Cannabis medicine history. Here you go, Mr. DEA. Maybe you guys have never seen this stuff. Maybe you're like. Hopefully you're not like the Gestapo. Hopefully you're not just following orders or whatever. You got capacity, but capacity to use your brain. If you're watching this and you're from the DEA, then just do a Google search. Come on, it's not that complicated. Medicinal cannabis, the history. Let's look at the history. Let's look at some of the history of cannabis being used as a medicine. 6,000 year history of medical. Accepted by who? Accepted by you? There's currently no accepted medical use? Is that what, according to you, what you just don't know? Or you just don't care? Or what is it? What is it? Because it makes no sense. So you're dragging your feet. You need to quit dragging your feet. People are suffering. $10,000-year history of cannabis. Medical cannabis history. 8,000 BC. Quick history of medical. History of medical cannabis. Mystery history of cannabis. Marijuana history, medicine, and industry. Oldest evidence of marijuana then versus now. The history behind medical marijuana. So there's just, it doesn't take much to understand that cannabis has a history, medicine. Let's watch this one. The 6,000, because it's going to take you all the way back into China. I don't know if you guys in the DEA know where China is. I don't know where you guys got your education, but China's a country, okay? And so they've been using cannabis as medicine way longer than you've been alive. 6,000 years, okay? So if you don't accept it, then you're either you got your head in the sand or you got it up your ass. Now, I'm not talking about smoking it. I'm talking about eating it. Medical uses have been found in many cultures for thousands of years. It's like this huge chart that shows it. And I don't know if I can. This is almost like a map. I think that would be pretty cool to get that printed out and hang that up in a studio wall. A historical geography of cannabis. Wow, that looks really cool. That would be a great poster. Yeah, that's what Cannabis LibraryTV needs to have, cannabis stuff that educates people on it. But 4,000 BC, like in China, they were using cannabis as medicine. I can't really quite pull up this here. Let's go back. Let's see if we can find ourselves. Let's see. Cold and windy, man. I'm out here suffering for y'all. This is worth it. This is my it's my passion to serve. It's my obligation I consider it a duty and an obligation as a human being to be kind to my fellow human beings. And I know that I may have been a little bit derogatory there, but I'm really doing it because I love you guys. Even you guys who are in the DEA, I love you guys. I think you're trying to do your best. It's being a cog in the machine, trying to analyze how the machine works and going against it. It's not easy. Probably being in positions, cogs in the machine, and trying to analyze the system as a whole. So I gotta take that into consideration. It's not easy being human. So I don't necessarily blame you. I want to watch a video though. That doesn't show video. I guess this is an hour and 28-minute video. I don't know if I want to watch that. It's marijuana history medicine. This one actually looks pretty good. I guess we can. I'm going to show one other thing though before I go into this video. And let's just go to YouTube and search there. And I want to pull something up though. Lost my train of thought. It was going to be something really cool. What was it? God, don't you just hate it when you have a brain fart like that? Well, it's going to be cannabis history. To not say that cannabis doesn't have any medical. Oh, I remember what it was now. Yeah. So the FDA comes out the other day and says, we're going to help you guys out with some trade secrets. How to maintain your trade secrets in the industry, in the cannabis industry. We're gonna streamcast it to be able to help you guys out. September 10th. FDA teaches marijuana growers and researchers how to protect trade secrets from their competitors. That's some stupid shit. The Food and Drug Administration is now going to turn around and say, you know what? We're going to teach you guys how to maintain some trade secrets. Yeah, well, you would be the ones that know how to do that too, wouldn't you? I don't want to subscribe yet. I don't want to subscribe at all, baby. I'm just going to say that I'm a subscriber, but I'm totally lying. All right. The Food and Drug Administration is hosting a meeting next week to help inform cannabis researchers and cultivators about opportunities to protect their proprietary information and promote studies into the plant. What? What? What are you talking about? What's the FDA doing? FDA, don't you realize that there's no accepted medical use? There's a high potential for abuse, man. What are you doing? You're going to teach people? The Food and Drug Administration, you're going to teach people? You're going to host a meeting? You're going to help people? Okay, so here. The webinar, which is taking place on Wednesday, will encourage cannabis-based drug developers and growers to use drug master files. Ooh, that sounds official. Or DMF. I got to get myself one of them DMFs, baby. Which are submissions to FDA to use to provide confidential, detailed information about facilities, processes, or articles used in the manufacturing. I say, fuck you. Food and Drug Administration. Why don't you guys, Food and Drug, go over there and talk to these guys. Figure out what this is about. Why don't you guys come out and put the chips on the table, put the cards on the table. What's this about? I mean, within the government itself, I know that a lot of times these organizations don't communicate with each other or whatever, but shouldn't they at least have a certain amount of synchronicity going on? We're going to help you keep your proprietary information. We're going to help make sure that you guys are able to keep everything a secret. Now, I understand that trade secrets are good and companies have to invest in research and development. And Solomon's Treasure is investing in research and development. And I understand that not everybody has the same philosophy when it comes to proprietary information. But my position is, if this is true, if all of this is true, we'll go to these videos here. If this is true, the dietary benefits of raw cannabis. If this is true, that cannabis oil cured brain cancer for a baby. If this is true, if this is real, if this is really, really happening, and if this is really happening, what do you do with all that? I understand that, keeping it a secret is one thing, but if all this stuff is true, then man, people need to know. Is my viewpoint. People need to know, because they can limit their suffering. We can help people so they don't have to suffer. If we can eat if juicing, the power of juicing this raw, it's healing effects. You drink a fucking cup of juice a day from a plant that currently the United States says there's no medical use, but the FDA is like, oh, we're going to help you keep the trade secrets on it, and the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services is going to say, well, we'd like to have the patent on it before you go ahead, and maybe they say maybe we'd like to keep the patent on it before you begin to release this Schedule 1, because if you let the cat out of the bag on one of the most valuable plants that the human history has for food and medicine, then we ain't going to be able to get any money out of it, because the only thing we know how to do is we know about proprietary information and locking motherfuckers up who are carrying around Schedule 1 substances. The power of juicing it. The video may be inappropriate. Yeah, that's my video right there. My video may be inappropriate for some users. I understand. I think I do. I understand that it may be inappropriate. Yeah, very broad. So we're just gonna watch this. It's a 12-minute video. I'm gonna eat some chips, and I hope this thing will load, and I can go back to the Cray 3. Dr. William Gordon, maybe I need to get a Cray 3. Maybe I'm Cray 3. Crazy to the third power. A Cray 3. Something's got to give, man, because my computing power isn't enough. I need more power. Give it all she's got, Captain.
Wait. Did he say medical? Wait. Hold on a second. Did he just say medical? Hold on. What? This guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Because over here, if you look with the FDA, hold on. I'm going to have to stop this doctor, Dr. Abrams. Dr. Abrams, I'm going to have to tell you that according to the DEA, you're wrong. It says that there's no currently accepted medical use, bro. I don't know if anybody's told you yet, um, Dr. Abrams, but cannabis doesn't have any medical uses, bro. Hold on, hold on a second, buddy. I'm gonna have to stop you right there. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to interrupt, but I'm just gonna have to let you repeat that. Can you repeat that one more time? Abrams.
All right, so this is one of the videos that I had watched years ago during some research and study I was doing on the benefits of cannabis and its use also um, in biblical times. But I think this was like in 2016, I discovered Chris Bennett and if I remember right, Kristen and William Courtney. I'm out here shivering. I'm cold. I gotta have a better place to do this next week. Let's see here. FDA teaches the growers. All right, so as you can see, this kind of helps give everybody a breakdown. It also helps me get this out. Medical cannabis basics. This video, some of the basics about medical cannabis. Here, let's listen about the endocannabinoid system. It should be a good one. This looks like it's a TED Talk, so TED Talks are usually pretty good. I'm freezing out here. Oh. Now, I've never seen this video. I've never heard this speaker. What happened? Something happened here. I think of myself. No, I'm just kidding. I don't want to listen to you right now. I want to listen to Rachel. That was a fun little addition. Let's get yeah, this will probably be the last show on March. I don't care. Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I need to use Monday.com, but not right now. I'm gonna skip the ads. Play the whole thing. All right, there we go. Yeah, I've had my coffee. I'm going to go ahead and mute my audio. Look at the difference of that woman. Christopher Heye's talking about it. Circulatory, pulmonary, skeletal, muscular, nervous system. Yeah. I'm gonna like this. This is gonna be a good one. Endocannabinoid system. Yes. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and shut up. That's right. Yes. Yes. Okay. You want to be a doctor? Woo woo. Much more. This is a good speaker. I like her. I already told everybody. I can. Like endocannabinoid. 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 Tomato. Go nerdy, girl. Yes. Yes. Break it down for me, girl. Yeah, that was pretty nerdy. Dang, I ain't never heard it like that. So I just found out that like all the sound that's coming in on these videos, you can't even hear it. 2 hours later.
A mouthful of information, and it might be a little overwhelming, but I really hope it piques your curiosity and maybe sparks some inspiration, as it did for me. And I and my family have been so compelled by the physiology of the endocannabinoid system and the care it requires that we're pioneering the nascent fields of endocannabinology and cannabinoid medicine with many other scientists and clinicians worldwide. This curiosity and inspiration and affecting systemic change with this system is what gets us up every morning, and we're not going to stop until this information is in the text that we're pioneering the nation. You with me, Portland?
We're gonna watch her again. I'm gonna end after this.
Out of every single medical textbook I read, despite its discovery 27 years ago. Right? I am not making this up. This is for real. So since it's not in the textbook, I'm going to share it with you today. I'm going to share with you the real science and the real history of this system and how you can use it to take control of your health. But before I do, I want to share my story. So when I was a kid, I wanted to become a doctor like my parents. But as medical school approached and my parents reflected on the changing medical field, my mom encouraged me to do something different with medicine. So I pursued a dual degree in medicine and business to become a doctor entrepreneur, because we entrepreneurs believe we can change the world with our ideas, and I wanted to become a world-changing doctor. Can't you tell? Yes, with that notion, I was eager and energized to learn. But what I learned deflated. Because for me, the salient lesson from medical and business school was that big medicine is a big bureaucracy and paradoxical to health. It was a heavy, really weighty ethical dilemma that forced me to confront the dichotomy between wanting to become a healer but becoming a drug pusher. I was training into a system pretty blasé and disinterested in addressing the root cause of disease and driven by patent medicine. This is not what I signed up for. And I was this close, literally, from walking away from it. But I found a family medicine program with an integrative medicine track, and that provided me a lens into ancient healing practices. Now, we benefit tremendously from the advancing technologies and innovations of today's medicine. But what I found was that people used to be great at healing themselves and others, and doing so with natural substances and simple practices, like herbs and acupuncture and yoga and meditation and more. This wasn't witchcraft or voodoo, right? It wasn't then and it's not today. These healers knew what worked, and they had sound theories as to why. They just lacked the science. They lacked a biophysical model demonstrating how, and it was hidden in the secret system all along. Are you guys ready to know what it is? All right, so we're gonna start with a word clue. Can anybody pronounce this word? Okay, well, let's do it together. So for the benefit of the group, let's sound it out. Ready? Endo, can, nabinoid. Endo, can, nabinoid. Endo, can. Louder, Portland. Endo, can, nabinoid. Endo, can. Masterful. Yes, thank you. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, this secret system is what's known as the endocannabinoid system, or ECS for short. So if I say that, you know what I mean. And now we get to really nerd out as I explain what it is and how it works. So the endocannabinoid system resides within all animals except the insect. It's a 600 million-year-old messenger and receptor system integral to homeostasis, or the management of balance within your body. From embryonic development to immunosurveillance, there is not a single function in your bodies that is not somehow influenced or modulated by the ECS. You can think of it as a switchboard, functioning in and across all physiologic processes and organs, acting and reacting to internal and external stimuli to direct, correct, and overall manage your health. Now, although a gross simplification, the endocannabinoid system can be broken down into 4 core components. First up, we have the cannabinoid receptors, like CB1 and CB2 in counting. Next, we have the ligands that bind to those receptors and initiate an action called endocannabinoids, or body-made cannabinoids, like anandamide and 2-AG. And we have the synthesizing enzymes that make these endocannabinoids on demand when they're needed, and the degradative enzymes that break them down after they're used. And it works through something called retrograde signaling. So illustrated in this diagram is the route of an endocannabinoid that's made in a postsynaptic neuron in response to neurotransmitter stimulation. It then travels backwards or retrograde across the synapse, where it binds to a cannabinoid receptor on the presynaptic membrane to initiate action, in this case, blocking the release of neurotransmitters. So let me break it down a little bit simpler. It's an analogy. Yeah. So let's say the endocannabinoid system is your dormitory or your apartment building, and your neighbor across the hall is making a lot of noise and they're getting really loud. You just walk across the hall and you politely ask them to turn the volume down. So you can imagine how important this function is when cells are sending signals of stress, pain, or inflammation. Like your noisy neighbor, these processes need to be checked. And it's through this mechanism that the endocannabinoid system checks these processes back into balance so that your body can relax, remember to eat, fall asleep, forget traumatic experiences, and protect itself along with a host of other mediating and restorative processes. The endocannabinoid system keeps your body in balance. Now, up to now, you guys probably thought the brain was the boss, right? We all did. But the brain's not the boss. The endocannabinoid system is. And we had it wrong. So with all that said, you guys might be confused why this really awesome system was kept secret for so long. Well, I'd say that it probably has something to do with the plant that they used to discover it. So back in the 80s, researchers wanted to know how THC worked. And THC is a plant-made cannabinoid or phytocannabinoid found in cannabis. And it's responsible for the intoxicating and euphorogenic properties that cannabis is so infamous for. And using radio-tagged THC, the endocannabinoid system was discovered as THC locked into and unveiled this extensive receptor network concentrated throughout the brain and throughout the rest of the body. And THC did this because they found out it's a direct analog or mimicker of our own endocannabinoid anandamide. And as an aside, anandamide, also known as the bliss molecule, is what's really responsible for the runner's high, not endorphins, right? So if any of you have ever experienced the euphoria that's come with exercising, that's your endocannabinoid system, that's anandamide. And we're finding more each day about over 100 other phytocannabinoids found in cannabis and other plants that mimic our endocannabinoids and have the potential to supplement or modulate the endocannabinoid system in therapeutic and healing ways. So this is where we're at. We have this incredibly mind-blowing system, and we have this plant, y'all, a plant that works on this system in therapeutic and healing ways. So what I really hope you're wondering right now is what's wrong with that? All right, well, the answer lies within the annals of American medical history, starting with two guys who really wanted to sell a lot of prescription drugs. And in their heyday, at the turn of the 20th century, American medicine was based on homeopathy and herbal medicine, and naturopaths and chiropractors weren't getting down with patent drugs. So with the millions of dollars in their pocketbook, a document called the Flexner Report, and the full force of state governments, American medical training was consolidated and standardized in accordance with pharmaceutical drug science to the exclusion of holistic care practices, natural substances, and remedies and natural cures. And this created a system that made patentable pharmaceutical drugs that treated symptoms easy to sell, and that made natural holistic caring practices and unpatentable plant medicine like cannabis fringe, quackery, and illegal. What's surprising the most is that U.S. physicians prescribed cannabis routinely to their patients well into the 20th century. Cannabis was once a top 3 most commonly prescribed medicines, dwindling out of use due to heavy taxation, the prosecution of the doctors who prescribed it, and finally, it being written out of the American Pharmacopoeia in 1942. You see, big business wrote my textbook. And I can only speculate that the endocannabinoid system was kept secret for so long because its science validated the use of unpatentable plant medicine like cannabis and other natural practices. But the pharmaceutical industry wasn't the only big business disrupting the once free market of health. We Americans spend multiples of billions of dollars annually on unhealthy and low-quality foods, in addition to the prescription drugs we reflexively depend upon, both of which are directly linked to endocannabinoid system dysfunction, which we now know is the precipitant to most chronic diseases. And as a result, Americans are getting sicker and sicker, riding round and round on a Ferris wheel of big interests that we pay to ride. That doesn't make any sense. We're outsourcing the responsibility of our health to the bigs, and they're cashing in at our expense. Staying on this ride is a losing battle. But this can be the past if we reimagine our future. And in this future, all we need is love. Yeah. But the type of love that I'm talking about is self-love. Because in the battle with the bigs, self-love is the revolution of one. Not until we start taking good care of ourselves do we opt out of the big business of disease. And the revolution of one is you choosing to live in balance, and the endocannabinoid system is your on-ramp. Now, as powerful and resilient as the endocannabinoid system is, it is not immune to aging or the assaults of modern living, like those unhealthy foods, on chronic use of prescription drugs, environmental pollutants and toxins, emotional stress, and how all of those things interplay on our genetics. Now, I just listed the top 5 contributors to ECS dysfunction and disease, and they should be avoided. But caring for yourself and your endocannabinoid system requires a bit of understanding of what nurtures it, what restores it. And here are your tools. Eat real food because it provides the body with what it needs for healthy cells and the raw materials for building those endocannabinoids. Supplement with adaptogenic herbs and spices because they soothe and tone the endocannabinoid system, aiding in balanced restoration. Detox because it cleanses the body. It reduces inflammation and rids it of harmful toxins that abet endocannabinoid system dysfunction. Incorporate phytocannabinoids and cannabinoid practices. Phytocannabinoids like CBD and THC, when taken as whole plant cannabis, have shown helpful in diseases of endocannabinoid system dysfunction and wellness overall. And cannabinoid practices, I know that's another fancy word, like sleeping and exercise, yoga and meditation, deep breathing and prayer, soothe and tone the endocannabinoid system as though they were supplements themselves. And lastly, maintain healthy relationships. The effects of personal relationships across work, home, your social settings affect endocannabinoid system tone. And y'all create reasons to smile and hug often, because as it turns out, smiling and hugging part and parcel with healthy relationships triggers the release of your endocannabinoid anandamide, the bliss molecule. Now, as we're nearing the end of my talk, I know I've given you a mouthful of information and it might be a little overwhelming, but I really hope it piqued your curiosity and maybe sparked some inspiration, as it did for me. And I and my family have been so compelled by the physiology of the endocannabinoid system and the care it requires that we're pioneering the nascent fields of endocannabinology and cannabinoid medicine with many other scientists and clinicians worldwide. This is our call. And effecting systemic change with this system is what gets us up and going every morning, and we're not going to stop until this information is in the textbook. Are you with me, Portland? Right? I mean, this is life-changing information. Yes. So I encourage us all to learn from our past and reimagine our future with this system. Because the secret to balanced health resides in the science and total care of the endocannabinoid system. And I can tell you, like we tell our patients, that getting started is a lost learn. Just have to choose. You too can be a revolutionary, like Jill. Thank you.
All right, everybody. We are ending today's live stream. I've managed to put in close to 2 hours, and I loved the ending. I did not know that I had the sound issue. We're going to resolve that sound issue by never being outside and having to use just these, because what happened was, let's stop my share.
What's the first image that popped into your head? Oh. Someone mentioned the word cannabis. For a lot of people, it could be this. Or
well,
maybe this.
Hold on a second.
And for those of you that are better at planning ahead, maybe even this.
We're going to go towards...
Basically,
we're going to go towards the share screen again. And I'm just going to give a breakdown. I already gave a pretty good breakdown because I had the sound on. But basically, the cannabinoids, drug scheduling,
compounds, and building blocks with tremendous therapeutic potential. As a result,
where are you at?
it's starting to look a lot less like this, a lot more
All right, I'm going to go ahead and give this
That
guy
are in plant,
a shot.
cannabis might actually become more important to your daily routine than coffee. So, let me tell you how cannabis became a regular part of my daily routine.
Let's hear it, brother.
When I was in my early 20s, I had a moment of what you could call useful indiscretion. That set my life down a very challenging path. I applied for a job on Wall Street. To make matters more complicated, they hired me. It was fast-paced and high stress, and in certain situations, that stress could become pretty overwhelming. So, I tried everything I could to manage my anxiety, including prescription medications. But those came with their own side effects on my mood and my energy level.
We're going to let this boy run
So
for
I searched for a
15
different
minutes.
solution. And it took years before I actually found one. I stumbled upon a little-known cannabis extract called CBD. Toned down my stress levels, but still allowed me to feel clear-headed and focused. And suddenly, I was back in control of my daily routine. I felt confident and composed and relaxed, and I just sort of felt like myself. Now, before you all get the wrong impression, let me clarify that CBD does not get you high. That effect comes from a completely different chemical called THC, and CBD does none of that. You could take all the CBD in the world, watch the entire Beatles' Yellow Submarine movie, and you're still not going to feel high. Trust me on that one. See, CBD doesn't impair you. Instead, it seems to have the opposite effect, which sounds a little bit like magic until we dig into the science. We all have a built-in system in our bodies that keeps our internal functions in balance despite imbalance in our external environment. It's called the endocannabinoid system. It regulates things like stress, mood, and appetite. Think of it as like the conductor of an orchestra. When one piece starts acting out of rhythm, for example, an overactive stress response, the endocannabinoid system steps in and smooths it out. CBD happens to be one of the chemicals that supports the function of the system. Helping that conductor to maintain rhythm throughout the body and the brain. And brain imaging studies have actually proven that. Through these studies, we know that CBD can help to modulate activity in key brain regions involved in our stress response. In other words, CBD helps your brain to function in a more balanced state when stress levels spike. Okay, so why am I telling you about biological systems and brain activity? Well, for one, I paid a lot for a degree in neuroscience. And I'd kind of like to get my money's worth. The other reason is that this little-known cannabis chemical is about to change the way we all think about our daily health. It's made such a big impact on my daily routine that I now dedicate myself professionally to creating healthy CBD options for people that want to give it a shot. It's not just for people with extreme anxiety or panic attacks either. CBD has this gentle calming effect on mood and stress levels, similar to a meditation. Think of it like the volume knob on a stereo. CBD doesn't shut the noise off entirely, it just turns that dial down a little bit so you can hear the music.
I'm going to have to do
Because of
public
that,
speaking.
It's being used to help people perform better in a wide range of daily stressful scenarios, from interviews to networking. People that used to have a drink to calm the nerves are now trying CBD instead. It is even effective for public speaking. Multiple studies have actually been done on the effects of CBD on public speaking and have found a significant reduction in stress and discomfort compared to a control group. And the potential benefits of CBD go way beyond stress management too. Because of the broad function of that endocannabinoid system, CBD itself can have a wide range of benefits. Professional athletes are now ditching prescription pills and painkillers in place of CBD. And insomniacs are turning to CBD as a potential natural remedy for more restful sleep. But before you go and toss out any prescription pills, I should note, this does not mean that CBD is going to cure your anxiety or insomnia anemia, or your arthritis. There's no one-size-fits-all solution to these things, and for many people, prescriptions will just be the best option. But the implications for CBD are pretty fascinating, particularly when you consider that we may have stumbled upon a natural remedy to common ailments that affect millions of people every single day. Better yet, you don't have to ingest a handful of pills and supplements to get those results. CBD is commonly infused into foods and beverages in a way that's healthy and convenient. You can get everything from CBD waters and juices to CBD olive oil and hummus. But before we all go run out of here and share a giant bowl of CBD hummus, it's important to consider the risk factors. Is CBD actually safe? And what happens if we take a lot of it? These are all very good questions. And fortunately, we do have some answers. Reports currently indicate that daily dosages of CBD up to 1,500 milligrams are well tolerated by the body, which means they're safe. And to put that number in perspective, here's a graph that shows common CBD dosages in food products today versus what those reports deem to be safe. And you can see it's not even close. You'd have to spend thousands of dollars every single day on CBD-infused food to even come close to those numbers. The World Health Organization has also weighed in on this, stating that CBD has a good safety profile and that no public health problems have been associated with CBD use. Even the FDA, which sets the gold standard for safe food policy in our country, seems to agree with all this. Just last year, the FDA noted little indication that CBD has abuse potential or presents a significant risk to public health. Even more remarkable, CBD doesn't seem to be addicting either. The FDA's data also found no evidence that CBD causes physical or psychic dependence. So, let's recap. CBD comes from plants, doesn't impair you, safe for adults to consume, and could help millions of people. It's a pretty amazing discovery, right? I think we should all pop open a bottle of CBD champagne to celebrate. Well, actually, not so fast. Because we currently sit at a pivotal moment in the history of cannabis regulation, one that will determine if, when, and how we're even allowed to purchase cannabinoids like CBD. As a country, we don't like to change our cannabis laws very often. We've really only done it once before when we effectively made it illegal back in 1937. And since then, cannabis has been vilified for its recreational use. The idea that weed equals scary is so deeply rooted in our culture that it even affects the way we think about versions of this plant that have absolutely nothing to do with its recreational use, like hemp. So now, after an 80-year failed experiment, we're finally about to revisit the cannabis question. And the decisions we make today will set the course of this industry for generations to come. Now, this is obviously a ton of responsibility. And it's very important that we get it right this time. Part of getting it right means doing more research, setting the right marketing standards, right safety guidelines.
I actually like this guy.
As much as we know today, there is still more work to be done.
I'm glad I gave this guy a chance.
Don't hold up to the right quality standards.
I want to talk to this guy.
But we can't continue to put it off and kick the can down the road. Because the longer we delay our regulatory decisions, the longer we deny access to a natural solution to common ailments that should be very treatable. We need to move forward based on real science, one step at a time. Now, I'm talking to you about CBD today because it happens to be a pretty great first step. It's healthy, it's natural, and we have a growing database of research to support its efficacy. So how do we move forward on CBD regulation? Well, first, we all need to determine what it is. There are a lot of people out there who will tell us that CBD should only be a prescription medication. Those people are called pharmaceutical companies. And they're well aware that this industry is projected to be worth $22 billion in a few short years. But maybe we're a little skeptical of those motivations. Because if we remove the veil of cannabis stigma, CBD is nothing more than a natural plant ingredient with therapeutic potential. It's really more like a superfood. And fortunately, we already have a pretty good blueprint for that, thanks to America's all-time favorite functional food, caffeine. Now, I know it might seem strange for me to stand up here and to compare something from cannabis to an everyday item like caffeine, but bear with me. Are they really all that different? They both come from plants, they're safe for adults to consume, and we use them to improve our mood and our energy levels. Interestingly enough, caffeine was once vilified too. Back in 1909, the United States government filed a federal lawsuit against Coca-Cola for marketing a product that contained caffeine, which they deemed to be unsafe. Nowadays, caffeine can be found in all sorts of products, from food and beverages to cosmetics and even medication. We ensure that caffeine products are safe and labeled properly, and then we let people decide if they want it, when they want it, and how they want it. And since I'm sure everyone here has had some form of caffeine today, it's safe to say we're all pretty comfortable with that system. We need to take the same step forward with cannabis, because cannabinoids like CBD should be no more threatening than a cup of coffee. And if we do it the right way this time, we have an opportunity now to give millions of people access to something that could improve their work lives, their social lives, and their overall happiness.
I haven't been able to listen to this
But
guy.
we need to take a step
I've been
back
busy.
in order to move forward and toss aside those
I've
outdated
only come in
stigmas,
for like a second.
because this plant is a lot more than just weed. Cannabis should be viewed as therapeutic.
And there's some videos, obviously, that I think I need to catch up on with
our
TED
Institute
Talks.
Cannabis, starting with a fresh look at CBD. And if we can change our perspective on one aspect of this plant, maybe we can take another look at the rest of it too.
This guy's perfect for his role. That was perfect. Like what he does. He's amazing. Separating the science from the hype. I'm just going to let another one of these roll, guys. And
With Melio's vendor payment solution,
gonna go grab
you
another
can pay
cup of
business
coffee.
bills now and keep your cash longer. How? By paying with your credit card.
I'm going to go grab another cup of coffee. I'm just going to let this roll. I brought it here into the bedroom.
Hello.
Hi.
In 1996, my life was forever changed when, after a botched back surgery, I was left with severe chronic pain. This began a cycle that lasted over a decade of fentanyl patch, Neurontin, methadone, Norco, a myriad of pharmaceuticals that at the height had me over the next decade on 26 different drugs a day. What I was left with was overweight, depressed, unable to work, unable to even drive a car. But more importantly, what I was also left with was chronic pain. Because where opioids are an excellent option for people that are in acute suffering, they are not the best solution for people having chronic suffering such as mine. So I went looking for other solutions. About this time, I met a woman by the name of Kay Cortopassi. And Kay was a self-described wake and baker. Each morning she would wake up and she would pull out her little pink Hello Kitty pipe and she would have a couple of puffs. Now, I judged Kay very harshly. I saw her as a drug user. But she also told me something very interesting. And that was that she was making pot brownies for her boyfriend who had chronic neck pain. And that he was able to use or eat one of her brownies before bed at night and not have to use any harmful pharmaceuticals to sleep through the night. And that got my interest. Because up to that point, we all had heard the hype around this, but all of a sudden I'm like, there's got to be some science here. So I started looking for solutions, and the first thing I did is I went to a doctor in California who was willing to write me a recommendation to use cannabis. And I thought, great, I'm going to go and I'm going to see this doctor, and I'm going to walk out of there with a prescription and know exactly what to do. But instead what I got was a sheet of paper with a list of dispensaries. And he pointed to one of them and he said, this is the Nordstrom of dispensaries. So I suggest you go there. Well, I love Nordies. So of course that's where I headed. So
So I went over to the dispensary. I stood in line. I walked up to the counter and I said to the young man behind the counter, now that I know it's called a bud tender, and I said, okay, I have chronic pain. What do I use? What do I do? And out from beneath the counter, he pulled a Rice Krispie treat, a bag of caramel corn, and a chocolate brownie. And I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, how do I use it? What do I take? And he's like, well, I have no idea. I just like this one. And, it kind of makes me, and I was like, okay, great. This is not science. This is not medicine. I need to go and find out more information. So I then made my next stop was at HempCon. Well, HempCon fulfilled every stereotype that I had about cannabis. I mean, you had your young ladies with the body paint and the strategically placed pot leaves. You had the I Heart Vagina signs along the wall. You had the deafening boom box, boom, 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 boom. And I'm trying to listen to the vendors and I'm asking them questions and they're giving me answers and I can't hear anything. But what I also heard while I was there was the same girl in the body paint was treating irritable bowel syndrome with cannabis. You had the person with the chronic pain seeking answers, the social anxiety looking for answers with cannabis. So I thought there's got to be something here, and since I'm obviously not finding it, I'm going to have to go figure it out myself. So I went next, and I bought a couple of ounces of something called XXX Chem Dog, and I got it at the granny rate. And I went home into my kitchen, and I started making this. I could not believe that my pain had been so affected by this plant, that I had gone from a level 8 to a level 2 almost instantaneously when I had taken a puff of it, and that no doctor up to this point had ever bothered to mention to me that cannabis was an option. How was that even possible? So I thought, what is it going to take for a doctor to be able to recommend cannabis effectively for treating patients just like me? So I made this in the kitchen, and I add the oil, and I'm looking at it, and I'm trying it, and I thought, okay, what is it going to take so that a doctor feels comfortable
Cannabis is
actually
probably one
recommending
of the
this
most
for his patients? So what are the keys that are going to be there? The first thing is there's going to have to be lab tests associated with this product. If you do not have a lab test associated with the medicine, you do not know how many milligrams of each cannabinoid is in there, you don't know what you're taking, you don't know how to take it, and you can't be consistent. It has the most dramatic potential. And frankly, a doctor's only going to want to prescribe or recommend something that can be done consistently and accurately. The next thing is
the cannabis and the medicine. I'll tell you what this is going to do to the pharmaceutical companies. They're going to resist it, or they're going to try to take advantage of it.
Stand this plant and the properties of
that's business as usual. That's what you would predict, but maybe there's a possibility that we could convince them through their conscience as opposed to earning money.
Understands when making this sort of recommendation. And the next thing is they're
as opposed to thinking about having to financial or whatever
instructions for each disease that you're treating, so that once they do start this feedback loop, that they can see what's working and what's not working and refine the data and keep making it better and better. I'm a process engineer. Finding patterns and establishing with data is just the logical way to figure out something and turn it from a plant into a medicine. So I went out next and I got a whole bunch of different varieties of cannabis, and I was very excited. I made all these oils. I sent them out for lab results or lab testing, and lo and behold, I sat down and I'm looking through all these labs and I'm like, what am I looking at? I have no idea what any of this means. I do not understand. I don't understand what beta-caryophyllene is. I don't know what alpha-pine. I don't know what any of these different components are of this. So I need to get more education on this. Because the thing that's fascinating about cannabis is that it is really a pharmacy in a flower. Because you have all these different compounds within there.
This show is what you're watching. This is the start of. This is almost in a way also a journey documenting me becoming self-aware as
I'm Chris Heye, born on 420 for a reason. And I was just thinking about my wife's health. And today I was just now starting to realize that my wife needs to have this cannabis. And I need to be giving this stuff to my kids. Because it's the best thing for them. But yet I realize that in this world, that there's a potential danger that comes with trying to help people. Because I'm not going to stop with my wife and my kids. I'm not going to stop with helping them get what their body needs. I already know myself, and I don't want to get hurt. I understand that my potential to make an impact and change in people's lives, it's pretty big. And I just don't want to fail my kids. I don't want to get myself hurt. But hopefully the tide is turning, and I'm not going to put myself in too much danger. The cat's kind of out the bag, and I'm going to push forward with the research and study and the marketing and the branding, and we're going to sell products. And, this is just the start that you're watching here. It's a place, this is where you go when you want to know about cannabis. If you want to know about cannabis, you come to us. That's a pretty big thing to accomplish. We're the library. And I know there's probably not too many people watching this right now. I don't even think I've got a single viewer. And that's fine, because that's how this stuff works. That's how this stuff starts. So let's continue to listen to her speak and share her story, how to get this turned into a medicine. But my particular view is going to be, how do we get this into our bodies every day as a dietary essential, whole plant? Maybe the juicing is only one part, but there's many ways that are needed to consume this. And but as a vegetable, something that we can buy in the store, a drink that we can have on the shelf. Cannabis juice drink. Nobody's got a cannabis juice drink. So somebody's going to be the first to come out with it. It's either going to be my company, or it's going to be somebody else's.
About THC and CBD. You hear about these in the press. There's the misnomer that one gets you high and one is the medicine. I would flip that, and I would say one isn't of much value and the other one is really good medicine, meaning the THC. That's a different talk. But let's go ahead and stick with this. But you also have other cannabinoids in there like CBN. And CBN is the one that helps to make you sleepy. You have THCV, which we believe regulates the insulin uptake in the body. So there's all these other. You then have all these things called terpenes. Well, terpenes are what you taste and what you smell. And a terpene, for example, in lavender, you have something that's called linalool that's very calming. If you've ever picked up a lemon and held it to your nose and smelled it.
Cannabis juice that you drink every day.
And had that uplifting feeling that it gives you, that's limonene. That's also in cannabis.
Hemp sprouts that you eat every day.
So we know that it has all these various components within it, and we have to see how they work together.
access to food for the kids so that we can be healthy. We're doing this for ourselves and we're doing it for our kids and for all the kids that are coming ahead of us.
I learned about something called the entourage effect. Now, this isn't an actor with a bunch of fans hanging around him.
I need an entourage because I need an entourage effect. And that's another thing that I was thinking about today. That I've been thinking about. It's been on my mind. It's been part of the sound wave frequency of thoughts that pop into my mind over the past few months, years, my life. It's nice to have an entourage. And I'm not for sure who is going to be on that, but there's going to be an entourage effect. And just one by one, little by little, I'm going to figure this out.
This is how all the components of the plant work together. In the case of cannabis, the whole truly is greater than the sum of its parts, because you can buy isolated where they just use one component of it, but it is not going to work anywhere as near as well as when you have all of the components together. So let's
all the components together, which is why eating the plant raw as a vegetable, as Dr. William Courtney says, that's why. It's fucking food. It's my fucking food. It's food that I need to eat every day. And it's food, it's not an addiction aspect where you say, I'm supposed to drink 6 to 8 cups of water every day as a dietary minimum standard for my health. This is my ECS, my endocannabinoid system. Our endocannabinoid systems, which is the system that's in charge of all the other systems. This is giving your body the number one absolute most important thing that you can give it. And no, yes, I am crazy. I am crazy and I'm also correct. So both of those can happen at the same time.
talk about a piece of chocolate cake. You could have your flour, your butter, your sugar, your eggs, your vanilla, your cocoa, all of the ingredients that go into a piece of chocolate cake. But you certainly are not going to have had the experience of eating a piece of chocolate cake. And that is, in a nutshell, what the entourage effect is. So now we know that we have to have the whole plant so that we have this entourage effect. We know that doctors are going to be able to have to dose it correctly. But what is, in fact, a dose? Because people don't know how much you take and how often you take it. If the doctor says,
Dr. William Courtney says, 3 to 4 ounces of raw cannabis juice. And we're going to discover more of that on this show. This is Cannabis Library, episode number 3. And I've been a busy man. Some of the things that you don't know about that have happened in this time frame, if anybody wants to dig it up and look it up, I've done my best at sharing and documenting, creating a trail. I do these things to bring authenticity for the future verification. And so you can see what's been going on in my world between this past week through the other outlets on the social media platforms.
I want you to take 2 in the morning and 2 at bedtime, that's your dose. If the doctor says, I want you to take 1 3 times a day, that's your dose. If they say take 10 milligrams in the morning and 20 milligrams in the evening, that's your dose. Now, what is a therapeutic dose? A therapeutic dose is how much is required for you to accomplish what your objective is. For example, if your objective is to sleep 8 hours a night, the amount of cannabis that is required to get you asleep, keep you asleep, and allow you to wake up after 8 hours feeling refreshed, that is your therapeutic dose. If you're suffering chronic pain, it's not the amount that knocks you on your butt. It's not the amount that gets you high. It's the amount that gets your pain under control to a point where you are still a fully functional member of society. That is the therapeutic dose. It's not just how much you can use.
I'm so glad that I'm in Chelsea, Massachusetts. I'm very glad that I'm here for a number of reasons. One of them is I feel safer here doing this work than I would probably feel safer anywhere else on the planet. At least inside the United States, I could say. I feel very safe here. And as far as my risk for harm, someone being able to harm me. And I know that may sound strange, but if you don't know much about me, then you can look back at the times you can look at the times that I'm probably going to in the future talk about some of my experiences, near-death experiences, escaping. I had to evade, and I said this the other day to my CFO, our CFO, who we just recruited yesterday. I could barely. I have to understand that I have to be very slow with people on telling them what had actually happened to me in Honduras, because it can scare them, it can startle them, and so. But I told my CFO yesterday that about a little bit about Honduras. He doesn't hardly know anything about it, so when I say that I feel safe, it's like I also have to factor in, and everybody else has to factor in, to take it into consideration that I had my traumatic brain injury, and before I went to Honduras, and then when I was in Honduras, I had quite a few traumatic events, escaping death, and a few other things. I'm not going to go into detail yet here, but I'm going to share it openly and honestly for everybody. And so I think it's important for documenting. I think it's important for the story, for the authenticity of documenting and journaling who I am and how I've come to my own path of self-discovery, as I could say, chronicling, like where this is the recording of the chronicles, I guess, and we're putting that out there. So I got pretty deep there with that speech, but I definitely want to. I can't stress it enough how important it is for me as a human being to share what has helped me not just survive, but manage to hold together myself, my marriage, and raise my two daughters at the same time. I can't express enough the value that I believe that I have for humanity, the value that I bring for others to glean off of. I understand that there's a heavy responsibility. There's a real responsibility, and there's a responsibility to be honest with oneself, and the reason why is because our honesty in life as we grow is what enables us to be healthy, and it enables others to learn from what we've accomplished as humans. So the best thing you can do for yourself and the best thing you can do for everybody else is to be honest. So I try to be brutally honest, just hyper candid. And I've come to grow comfortable with doing that. So we're going to watch some more of this, separating the science from the hype with Mara Gordon. And I've shared a little bit of my heart. I probably even ran off on a tangent, rabbit trail, squirrel. But I think the number one most important thing for me to understand is that it's worth it. This is worth pursuing. It's worth doing. It's valuable for others. So that's what I'm learning from the discipline of the weekly broadcasting of this podcast show, Cannabis Library TV. All right, let's continue.
So now let's take a look at what is not a dose, all right? Because I hear all the time from people, I'll say, how much are you taking? And they'll say, oh, I take a 1-to-1, or I take a 1-to-5, or I take a 20-to-1. Well, that's great. That's a ratio. That tells me how much one component is in relation to another, but it doesn't tell me what they are. It doesn't tell me how much concentration of each one is in. It just tells me the relationship between two different molecules. It's also not the number of drops.
I think the way that we're looking at this on the medical standpoint is I enjoy Dr. William Courtney's aspect where he says it only becomes a medicine when we're having to use it to treat sickness. Preventing the sickness and preventing the disease is worth much more. And dose, the ratios between a particular cannabinoid in relation to another cannabinoid, that's nice and all, but it's just we don't analyze a tomato between I've got 7 or is it 8 tomato species that are growing and giving fruit outside my home, and I'm not before I got purple Cherokee tomato, Cherokee purple. I've got a Better Boy. I've got a couple super sweet 100s. I've got some cherry tomato, two different varieties other than the super sweet 100. I got just a standard cherry tomato, and then I've got a different one. I can't even remember, but I think it's a hybrid. And when I go to eat a tomato, I know that they taste a little bit different, okay? But I'm not thinking about what particular flavonoid or flavor or ingredient, or I don't even know what the composition of tomatoes are. I don't. That's because we don't have to study it that much to be able to figure out that a tomato is healthy for a human to eat. We have had to relearn, humans have had to relearn, I am having to relearn that cannabis is a vegetable. it never stopped being a vegetable. And if tomatoes are fruit, let's say carrots. There's a variety of different types of carrots. They have different flavors. There's a wide variety of different types of banana. So back to another fruit. I see a good example of various type of a vegetable. How about we talk about the various lettuce? How about the various spinach that we grow in our garden? I actually have some spinach that I managed to grow, and they survived. And I've got some carrots. And nobody is looking at the ingredients inside of which cabbage, or which spinach is going to be better than the other spinach. Maybe they are, but there's not a whole lot of time being invested in that. So I think that there's a little bit too much focus on which particular cannabinoid is a higher cannabinoid. I mean, yes, it's an important thing, which cannabinoid, the ratios, and how many they've got in each different species. But I think at the end of the day, if we're not eating it, then what difference does it really make? If we're not eating it raw, if we're not putting it in our body, either an oil that's been separated away from flower, or oil of a whole plant, full spectrum oil, that those are good starts. I think these are very good starts. The oils, the juices, they're very similar as long as they're not heated. They're very similar in reality. You're putting it in your body, you're eating it, you're feeding your ECS. So I think those are important. I think those are very, very important. Eating full spectrum. But considering putting too much focus on doses as if this is something, the medical aspect of it is very important. Curing disease, healing disease is very important. So, but I think we put too much focus on it, and I think that has to do partially because of the way that the medical system is. We have a particular sickness symptom, and so we're going to provide a particular type of prescription pill. But the pharmaceutical industry, if cannabis is the number one most important thing that you can put in your body, the number one most important vegetable, which I believe that it is, but like if you play that out down the road, what does that mean for pharmaceutical drug manufacturers? What does that mean for them? Would you rather have money, or would you rather have a healthy environment and community for your kids to grow up in? That's basically what you have to ask yourself at the end of the day. Or do you want to just, not concern yourself with all the other humans that are, sharing the world around you? Or am I not as valuable to you as money? It's basically what it comes down to. And are you not as valuable? Are you more valuable than money? Or is money more valuable than you? Who takes the number one position, people or profits? And for me, if you go the profit route, then you cannot serve two masters. You can't serve God and money at the same time. So you disqualify yourself from being able to say that you're a responsible Christian. If that matters to you. Some people, they don't care. But we just got to make that distinction as well, because it's time for everybody to take a step up and recognize that this is something that we have to be eating. I have to recognize it. But I know there's a timing. There's a timing to things. And our education and the way that we're going about it, all of us, it's very valuable for us to take a step back. It's valuable for our time. It's valuable for each other. It's valuable. It's a valuable thing to do. Because if we don't have health, if we don't have a community, if we don't have family, then what's the point? And some people live without that. And they may be very rich too. Some people may be very poor and not have anything. Friendship, family, community. Those are what's more valuable than making money off of somebody's sickness when there's an alternative.
If I say, how much do you take? And you say 4 drops or 2 drops or 5 drops. If I don't know how many milligrams are in the whole, I have no way of knowing how much is in an individual drop. And then lastly, the most important in the United States in particular, where we are not on the metric system, however the medical community is, a milligram and a milliliter are not interchangeable. One is a weight and one is a volume. So you need to know how many milligrams of the cannabinoids or whatever the chemical compound is within the volume of whatever the product is, whether it's an oil or a cookie or a Rice Krispie treat. All right.
Why does it need to be that way if it's just a drink? Just a drink. A drink you buy at the store. It's on the shelf. Has no THC in it. Just like you can get a CBD drink. I was at I'm gonna have to travel around online here on another podcast another day and show some of the drinks that are available that have cannabinoids in them. Think of the V8. The V8 drink of the cannabis world, or a fermented kombucha with hemp.
So let's take a look here at a theoretical therapeutic dose. Now I want to say right here before I go any further, this is not a particular dose or therapeutic dose for anything, for anybody. It's strictly for the purposes of this demonstration. And I have it up here, and I want you to also, before I go any further, I want to say that no doctor in their right mind would ever recommend somebody start out at a dose this high. You always want to start out very, very, very low and increase slowly until you reach your therapeutic dose. But let's take a look at this for a minute. We have a recommendation here of a THC dominant medicine from the doctor. They want you to take 25 milligrams a day, divided into 2 separate doses, with 1 5 milligrams in the morning when you get up, and 20 milligrams about 1 hour before bed. They want it to have several of these different terpenes in it if possible, and they want you to take it sublingually, which means under the tongue. Thus the picture of the person sticking their tongue out at you, a little bit Rolling Stones. So I'm going to take that and say, okay, now that you've got this, how do we take that information and convert that over to going to a dispensary to buy a product to match it? So I'm going to take this as a typical infused oil because it's sublingual. We need to use a tincture or something that can be done under the tongue. And let's take a look and do a blow up of the label. All right. So this, on this label, I'm going to look along with you. It says it's an extra strength THC product. It has 30 milligrams weight of THC within each milliliter, the volume. So 30 milligrams per milliliter tells you how much is in there. We also know that this is going to be about 1 milligram per drop because we know that a rule of thumb is when you have an infused oil, it's approximately 28 to 30 drops per milliliter. So in this case, because it's 30 milligrams per.
So we're going to talk to, we're going to talk about, hopefully on the next show, is the how Dr. William Courtney reached the plant a day, 3 to 4 ounces of raw cannabis juice. And we have to talk about the hemp sprouts. How many ounces of hemp sprout or cannabis sprout is what it could also be. But hemp sprout for now, because the cost for seed for industrial hemp is cheaper than high quality THC strains. I think the THC strains are more valuable than CBD strains, or maybe, I don't know. It's hard to say with the pricing, but a pound of industrial hemp seeds for $19. Pretty sure we can get 55-gallon drum of it a lot cheaper per pound, maybe down to $4 or $5 a pound, maybe even cheaper, and grow sprouts on a large scale. And that's an option, a viable option for a possible business model. Well, a viable option to analyze. It has to be looked at, and lots of numbers got to be crunched. And because you're going into a business like that, there's a lot of homework that needs to be done. And so hemp sprouts, 1, 2 is a raw cannabis juice, and in order to get the cost as low as possible, you have to get the juice as low as possible. One good thing about Massachusetts right now is the Cannabis Control Group. They have it set up where cannabis, if it's grown in a dispensary setting or an industrial grow operation, like one of the rules is that they have to destroy the plant and the leaves and render it useless or inoperable. I'm not for sure what the legal terminology, but I talked to him on the phone about it this summer, and there's some more to look into. So one option to look into for something that can be taken to market would be hemp sprouts on a massive scale, and raw plant cannabis juice on a massive scale.
Milliliter, it's going to be about 1 milligram per drop. So in order to achieve the 5 milligrams in the morning, it's going to be 5 drops. And for the 20 milligrams before bedtime, you're looking at about 3/4 of a dropper, or 0.75 milliliters to achieve that. And that will give you precisely what the doctor is. So I encourage you, when you leave here, to go to your local dispensaries and look at the myriad of products that are available on the shelves today. They come in all forms. They come in capsules and waters and all sorts of other things. And take a look and go up to the bud tender and ask to show you what some of these products are. You have the benefit now of a regulated market, which means that you now have proper labeling. So everything is easier to tell what is in it, which really eases the way for you to begin your exploration of what cannabis products may work for what ails you. And one last word of caution, remember, always start very low and increase slowly. Thank you.
Vimeo has become part of my yoke's everyday processes. We are using Vimeo links on our website to showcase our work. We are sending clips and works in progress to our clients, and that's actually probably where it's most helpful because there's no extra step that they have to use to sign in. It's accessible and easy to use, and I think it's just a comfort tool for everyone at this point.
That video over.
It's my pleasure to welcome back to Communicopia Bob Backus, the CEO of Viacom CBS. Bob, thanks for being here.
No, thanks, brother.
Great to be here.
Great to be here. Thanks. All right, behind the smoke screen of medical cannabis. Like this would just go on and on and on. And I'm going to stop my screen share. You're going to see I'm in here in my sanctuary. And it will be nice when I have set up a much better environment. Same environment every time, dedicated specifically for broadcasting. Quote unquote studio. Gonna have to have one of those. But for now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say your stream is no longer being blocked due to copyright issues. Copyright issues. Copyright from who? Public violations. What, a TED Talk? The TED Talk was I don't know, I'll have to go back and look. We're going to figure this out, keep working on it more as we move along. And let me see, I'm going to edit this name here. I know I have in here, it says Ralph LeBlanc. I got started really quick. Mr. Heye, yours truly. This is my first by myself. First Cannabis Library TV. And I am super cold still for some reason at 2 hours outside. You know, the winter's coming and I'm wearing shorts. It's like 60 degrees out today plus wind. I don't know I just don't like this cold weather. And so we're going to save that. Cannabis Library TV. Episode number 3. We've managed 3 weeks in a row, guys. And I'm super excited. I guess I could put STPodcast or go without it. Let's just go STPodcast Cannabis Library episode. I think that's how we put the title on before. All right, guys. And we are signing off.